hope that the weekend was wonderful and that you were able to recharge those batteries and get ready for this week, because this week is going to be even better than the last. Positive thinking, moving forward with hope and love and just the excitement of everyday living. Before we get started today, as always, I want to point out newrealitytv.com. You will not be disappointed. Wonderful, wonderful collection of perspectives that may offer you that piece of information that you need to find comfort, to obtain or maintain your mental space. As always, I want to call out all of my friends at norsewhispers.com/our-friends, but most importantly, wonderful organizations and groups like a very good friend at Norse Imports provides the wonderful collection of materials that can help you connect to your ancestors, to your peace of mind, that can help you to just get you on the path that you want to be on. I also want to call out a wonderful friend, farnorthtinctures.com. farnorthtinctures.com, a collection of herbal remedies that have been proven throughout multitude of millennia to bring comfort and healing back to the body from whatever we are experiencing. As always, I want to call out my website, norsewhispers.com/coaching. There you can find, hopefully, make an appointment. Let's sit down, let's talk, bend my ear. Let's hopefully help you to find the path that you want to be on. And finally, before we get after it today, I want to say how much, for those of you who have any coins you wish to drop in the tip jar, by all means, please do so. You can click on it there and join others who have helped us to move this further and help all of those to find some mental space that they can be happy with. Now, for those of you who are joining us today on Facebook, Facebook is a live chat. So if you have a question, you want to get a conversation started, by all means, feel free to ping us there in Facebook, and we'll get your question answered. Well, we'll address it anyway. Today we're talking about the control of money, the balance of how to obtain a better mental space today in the modern day world of just the hubbub of deadlines and pressures and the fear and the negativity that's going on all around the world. We know that it's just a matter of changing our perspective. It's just a different way of looking at our life. How do we do that? Well, we have to train ourselves in much the same way that you've spent X amount of years training yourself to find negativity, to find those unwanted thoughts and visions and sensory input. We can train the brain to go the other way. Now, the exercise that I've mentioned before, for those of you who have joined me before, it's a very simple exercise, and it's done first thing in the morning. The first thing in the morning is when we are setting the tone in our mind as we arrive back into consciousness from the spiritual realm, from that dream realm that we've been in overnight. And now we're beginning our motors again. We're starting to process our day. And so this is the critical time for us to train the brain, is to flip the switch, is to control the narrative that goes in here. So as we open our eyes and we're ready to tackle our day, the first thing we're going to do is, I always take the first couple minutes that I open my eyes every morning. I'm going to sit there, I'm going to just think about my day, but very importantly, it's a moment of gratitude. I think of all the things. I'm waking up in a bed. I've got a blanket on. I have my shield maiden in the bed next to me. Um, my wonderful dog sleeps next to my bed. Therefore, when I put my feet down, I'm putting my feet down 9 times out of 10 into a warm carpet where she has um, recently vacated so that I can put my feet down without stepping on her. And I've stepped into a warm carpet. So these are all things that I'm I'm going to be thankful for. I'm setting my mind. I'm setting my mind to be towards that perspective of gratitude. All right, so just take a few minutes. Doesn't take long. We're not talking about a whole meditation process, although wonderful idea. We're just taking a few minutes to kind of set the mind going in the right direction. We're not going to think about those things from yesterday that may have stressed us, may have caused us anguish or anxiety. We're not going to think about those. We'll put those away. We're thinking about the things to be gracious for, the things that we want to be thankful for. So that's how we're going to start our day. Just a few minutes, 5 minutes tops, right? Sit on the edge of our bed, maybe, and we're just going to ponder those things. We're going to be thankful, right? So now we're setting the day. Now, as we begin our morning routine, brush the teeth, brush the hair, maybe run a hand or two through the beard, right? Got to do that. Well, for those of us who have one. For those of you who don't, you probably don't. Anyway, we're going to maybe wash our hands and we're going to gaze into the mirror in our bathroom as we do these things every morning. What a great opportunity to notice the person in the mirror. What an accomplishment they have. Look how long they've lived. They've lived this long, and while, yeah, they're not rock stars yet, that's okay. It's okay to not be a rock star. It really is. Matter of fact, I can't carry a tune in a bucket, and I'm happy. Okay? So, the whole rock star thing may be overrated. So, we're going to take a few minutes and we're going to, get ready for our day. But what I want you to do is, as you're doing those things, washing our hands, brushing our teeth, maybe, brushing the facial hair or the head hair, and you're gazing into the mirror at that wonderful person on the other side of the mirror, I want you to remember that while, yes, there may have been some poor experiences and there maybe have some bad experiences, there have also been some good ones, really good ones. And those are what we're going to focus on. We're going to remember that, we got that job. We got something. Right? That car, the college degree, the studies, the whatever, the intellect, the knowledge, the wisdom. We have a wonderful elder that we can look forward to seeing sometime today, or talk to on the phone. I talk to my mother every day. So, again, we're thinking about the positive things. Now, for the first 90 minutes that you're awake, for the first 90 minutes, from the time you open those eyes to the time, for 90 minutes, I want you to focus purely on finding things, finding events and experiences in our lives where we are just super embracing moments that bring us joy. We're not going to look at the bad things. Yes, they're going to be there. Yes, they are going to be present. But we're not going to look at them. We're not going to pay attention to them. We're going to focus our brain on finding 25 things that bring us joy. Now, why do we do this? Well, we are now creating the narrative in our minds. We're creating the flow. I've said before, and I'll say again, I'm sure, that our emotional state sets the border of our aura that allows certain things in and denies certain things that we may not even be cognizant of. Okay? People, places, things. Things may, good things may be occurring, and the aura is bumping into ours, and because our border frequency is so high, and so anxious and so just very excited, that thing may bounce off because that border is set by our emotional state, is preventing it from coming in. In addition, as that energy comes into our aura, if our brain is just thinking about the struggles of yesterday and the struggles and the strife that we're going to take on today, if we spend a lot of time doing that, our aura becomes cloudy. It becomes very cloudy and hard to see through. More dangerously, is the energy that's passing into the aura on its way to us becomes diluted, right? Very much like looking at light through either a clear bulb, right? Really bright, or through a frosted bulb. And the frosted bulb, notice how it makes more of a glow, right? And that's kind of the idea behind a frosted bulb. Well, it's not a good idea in the aura. It might be a great idea for the light, not so good for the aura. Because what it does is it brings in this energy, as this energy is coming in, it's going to diffuse it. It's going to just refract it in every different direction except you, right? So you're not going to receive as positive an energy beam from the spiritual realm as you would otherwise. All right. So that's kind of the idea here, is that we're kind of more or less clearing our mind. We're going to open it up, and we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on just keeping the positive, right? The desired effects. Okay, we just want to see those for the first 90 minutes. After the first 90 minutes, life can take over. Okay, we allow the fates to begin the process of intersecting our lives with certain experiences. Now, these experiences are not only for your benefit. Many people ask, well, is this life all about me? No. You're experiencing it with a group of others, right? And so these experiences that are occurring in life are occurring to not only you, but to everyone in your nearby vicinity. And what's going to happen is, as you all experience this event, whatever it is, you're all going to take away a different perspective of that event, right? So, if this is, we use our bottle here of the what is this? This is the immune formula, super good on preventing colds. But this is the event, we'll say, and so we have a multitude of people who are standing all around this event, and they're going to look at the event very differently, right? So it's going to mean something different to each and every person who experiences that event, whatever it is, right? So what you're doing is you're part of that, where your experience or your perspective is passed into your brain, which is passed to the spiritual realm, which now gives the gods or the spirits a different perspective. So they, our spirits, and our spiritual self as well, can have the opportunity to now experience this event from many, many, many different perspectives. So it really becomes more this entirety. So that's really why we experience these different events in our lives, these different experiences, is because they are released, occur in our lives to educate not only us, but certainly others around us as well. So it's super important that we understand that when we have an experience, whatever it is, an interface with an individual, maybe a visual of something, we have but one perspective of that event. The gods, the spirits up above or next to us, see all the different perspectives, right? Because as we know, our physical sensory input, after it's processed into our brain and stored in our memories, then becomes shared with our spiritual mind as well as our physical mind. So, and our spiritual mind is immediately connected to that spiritual realm. So, all of these experiences, all of these perspective of experiences, are immediately being transmitted to the spiritual realm. Now, the good news is that, or I shouldn't say the good news, I should say the more of the information about that is that the information that's then transmitted to the spiritual realm is your interpretation of the event, your interpretation of the experience, right? So we see it, or hear it, or smell it, taste it, touch it, and that memory is then sent through the spiritual realm through your filtered version. Remember, all of our sensory input is filtered through emotion, through our emotional filter, right? And that emotional filter alters the way we see things, the way we interpret things, the way we experience them, right? So our present, that moment of time between future experiences we have and them haven't, that present, that experience is interpreted by you, by your life, by the collection of your experiences that have gotten you to this point. So all of those things have led your emotional state to be at a certain place where you are interpreting now the reality at which you see in a very unique way. And that's really exciting. It's really exciting because, like these experiences have a tendency to teach us, these life forms, to teach us certain things, we can teach others just by being us, just by being who we are, just by experiencing that event, right? So, setting the emotional filters early in the morning, this first 90 minutes, we're going to set those emotional filters that then allow our interpretations of reality to have more of a positive spin, right? Our experiences become more pleasant, more comfortable, more producing more contentment, all right? So this is very important for us to understand as we're experiencing our lives, right? Very critical to help us obtain and maintain our mental space. Now, as we've talked about, a lot of people say, oh, this sounds really heavy duty. It's really not, because you simply have to understand that when we experience something, anything, we are experiencing it from our unique perspective. We're doing that for a very specific reason, because not only are we teaching ourselves, but we're teaching our spiritual self and all the spirits who will absorb that energy. All right, does that make sense? That's a lot of quantum physics going on there. Sorry, especially first thing in the morning, right? You can do this. I know you can. So, again, eyes pop open. First 90 minutes, I want you to find as many positive things, very comforting, very just emotionally touching things that you can experience in your life that gives you joy, comfort, harmony, peace, contentment. Um, One of the greatest tools to get us to a level of contentment is understanding the, um, the gratitude, to being thankful. And it's the little things. It's not the big things. It's not the, oh gosh, I'm so glad I got this late model car to drive with auto start and this, that, and the other. Although that's nice, I understand. But the idea that you have a warm place to sleep, a dry place to sleep, um, you have maybe someone to share it with, even if that person or that individual is of an animal variety, you're offering that. Um, so we need to be, very thankful of the little things, too. The things like carpeted floors first thing in the morning. I know that sounds silly, but hardwood floors first thing in the morning can be brutal depending on your overnight lows, right? Um, a home. I know we take it for granted a lot, and we say, oh, yeah, I have a place to live. Yeah, you do. Good for you. I have a place to be. Whatever those things are, is to being uh, just very thankful for all of the little things in our lives. Maybe the comfort that you could afford a food, or you have a job where maybe you don't have a job, you have a career, or you have, uh, as I like to call it, 8 hours that you get to have fun. I mean, that's very exciting for me. It's 8 hours that I get to spend each day with new and exciting people, doing some wonderful, cool things for 8 hours a day. So it's being recognizing all of the gifts we have in our lives. We're not, yes, we earned them, right? A lot of us have have gone to work. We've done our thing. We do our whatever, our labor, whatever, and we've earned these things. We've earned the right to have them, and I respect that completely. But you have them. We know many places people may be doing really good, and then the gods decide that we need to shake things up a little bit, and they shake the earth, shake Midgard, and that may destroy some of these material things that we've acquired. And then how do we move forward? Kindness is another one of those things that helps us to really absorb the thankfulness and gratitude. Is that when we're kind, this is kind of a give and take thing. As we give kindness, we're given this warm feeling, right? This, we feel a little better about ourselves. We feel better about our situation. We feel better about the world in general, even if it's fleeting. Each of these moments then builds up. So kindness is another one of those pieces that we can include in our everyday life. We don't need the hostility, the division, the segregation. All of that stuff is for very weak, simple minds. You are not any of those. You are, you're brilliant. You're very intelligent. You have an emotional range that helps you to translate and to understand many different things. You're an absolute gift to the world around you. So we need all of your perspectives, all of the ways that you look at these experiences and these events. For it's truly important for me to have an entire view of this perspectives of a particular event. It helps me to understand the entirety of it all. And you provide a piece to that, like I provide a piece for yours. all of us, all come together, we can make this perspective work. So, very critical that we spend the first 90 minutes. We know from the studies of Norse ancestry, and certainly my great grandparents taught me of this idea that the god Mani, the Norse god Mani, who, by the way, if you're not familiar with Norse legend, he was, of course, the sister of Sol, the sun. And together they formed a balance. She brought the heat and the light of the day, he brought the cool and the darkness of the evening. And their interactivity, Mani and Sol, represented the cycle of life. So we have, as we climb into the midday with Sol, Sol is giving us intellect and allowing us to absorb information and learn and grow. And then we see as we reach this pinnacle of Sol during the midday, and we begin the decline, or the descent, I should say. As we begin the descent, what's going on in our mind? We're starting to have questions, right? We've processed this information, and we're beginning to build our questions. Why does this work? How does this work? How does this interrelate with this other thing? And how does this fit into this bigger picture? And so we're starting to ask all these questions. When we hit, of course, the midnight, right? Then what happens? We're going to start bringing in more new information. This is the cycle of life, right? So we're going midday, we've got a whole bunch of intellect. Midnight, we've now created a bunch of questions so that we're going out and drawing in new information. We're going out to learn more, right? So it's kind of this drive that ever forward, okay? So Mani represented the balance to Sol, right? So he represents that evening when we're getting these questions, we're driving our brain to think of more and more things, and then when we hit, of course, the midnight, then we're going to start drawing in this intellect, drawing in this spiritual energy that contains intellect, of which we'll store in our brain and then associate things to things, and then events to events, experiences to experiences, and then build a wisdom. For it is experiences that builds our wisdom, right? So as we begin this process of building this matrix covering our brain, interrelating these knowledge stacks together that we can then draw on in more or less an overview of all of our knowledge. So absolutely critical to our everyday, and certainly obtaining and maintaining a mental space. So each morning this week, as we celebrate Mani, tomorrow we will celebrate the courage of Tyr, the wisdom of Odin, the strength of Thor, and the magic of Freya. As we celebrate these, I want you to take 90 minutes each morning, before or after my show, to spend some time embracing gratitude and setting our brain to finding things that bring us joy. We're going to train our brain to have a different perspective on the day's events. Right? So super critical, because you are now controlling the narrative. All right? So I hope you will take some time today, and to do that, I do not see any questions today this morning on Facebook. So next time, hopefully, you'll ask a question and we can get it answered. Remember, questions that we make show out of, you can get a free shirt out of it. So be sure to sign up for that. And Wednesday nights, we answer the questions on air. So be there for that. All right? So again, check out my website, NorseWhispers.com. There you can find either information about getting into a conversation and coaching, or you can check out our friends there. You can also check out all the things about our show, about all the other messages that we produce. So be sure to check that out. Enjoy. Have a wonderful Money's Day. We will see you again for Tears Day. Love and light, my friends.